Howdy Petko files, you guys are the best fan base on earth, named after Jeffrey EpiPen. You know what Nickelodeon is, SpongeBob, The Loud House, Rock, Paper, Scissors, Ollie's Pack. What the f*** is Ollie's Pack? But today's video isn't about one of these new shows or one of the very popular shows from their past. It's about a show that basically no one watched. Well, I say no one, but allegedly 1 million people tuned in for all 3 episodes. So if this video doesn't get 1 million views, then that's a lie. You're scamming me. And if you clicked on the video, you obviously know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the 3-part Nickelodeon miniseries Lost in the West. Airing on Memorial Day weekend 2016, Lost in the West, as Wiki and Wikipedia describe it, is a 3-part miniseries about 2 stepbrothers accidentally creating a time machine. And at that point, I wrote this, I hadn't rewatched the show, but I don't think it's fair because one of them created it, and the other one is the strong meathead. So, like, only one of them created it. This isn't fair. One of them dived into incoming traffic, like me in 2021, but he didn't make it. But speaking of the 2 brothers, how about we stop messing around and we meet them? The movie opens up with someone making a green ooze and pouring it into a stick with a syringe. This is revealed to be Chip, and sadly, instead of using his genius skills to make drugs and sell them for a bunch of money, he's making a phone charger. He slides it into the back of the phone, and this brings up a green loading screen. So either this is the weirdest way to jailbreak your iPhone ever, or Chip reverse engineered a phone that runs off this shit. And if that's the case, why not build it into the phone instead of something you just slide up into the port? Also, it's a fucking solid stick. A phone charger usually has like a hole where your charger fits in. It's like a puzzle, you know?
It goes in the square hole.
Chip goes upstairs for breakfast with Dave, and we get our first line.
You know what's that, bro?
This entire conversation sounds so scripted and unnatural, but this specifically sounds super weird. Maybe it's because of my crippling addiction and the word stepbro in my mind triggers something like I'm a Russian sleeper agent. And we never even see their dad. We just see the mother. Then we get a rant about how important it is that Dave has 6 fucking meals a day. Is this the origin story for Nickelodeon Avocado? We learn that their mum is leaving for 5 days to go fuck a new boy toy or something. I actually don't know. It's never mentioned. And then we get to see the intro, which is the most entertainingly dog shit intro that I have ever seen. After the intro, we get an opening shot of the school that says Vista de Nada, which apparently translates to view of nothing. God, that's sad. We cut to C and D in the hallway, and by C and D, I mean CD's nuts. Dave is talking about how he's gonna take 2 chicks and 2 phones, one for the plug and one for the load. And Chip's talking about how he's not gonna take a girl out because he's an absolute beta cuck virgin loser who still lives with his mother. He's probably like 16, but still. Later in science class, there's a science fair, I think. Usually be set up in a gymnasium, right? With like dividers and shit. Remember the Jimmy Timmy Power Hour? We talked about that last time. Maybe they're presenting it to be shown in the science fair. I'm not 100% sure. But whatever, that's not important. What is important is that we're revealed to what the glow stick in Chip's phone is actually meant to do.
Time shifts. These shifts cause electromagnetic fields. My battery collects the energy and allows this phone to hold a charge for an entire month.
So basically it's the weirdest cell phone charger ever. It's the fucking Davin Chase transponder. What if the phone's constantly being overcharged? That shit would explode. Speaking of exploding things...
Does this invention actually work?
Theoretically.
Like how your noiseless blender theoretically worked but ended up blowing a giant crater in home ec?
He did what? I'm sorry, how is this kid not in jail? How much of the classroom did it blow up? How many fees did he have to pay? Did people die? All questions we never get answers to. After a Doctor Strange PowerPoint transition, we're taken to history class. A class that Chip and Dave both share. The pointy tits teacher from our Carly puts on a documentary about the Wild West. This is called foreshadowing, and here it's absolutely fucking obnoxious. So you're telling me that their town is popular enough that they had a documentary on it, and the boys just so happen to run into trouble with the same person they're showing on the documentary? Also, we find out in this that not only is the school called Vista de Nada, so is the whole town. This knockoff version of me right now talks about how the town turned into the place it is today because of a man called Dr. Duvalier. Dave turns back to Chip, telling him that he should ask Lisa out to the homecoming. Since she already gave Chip a number last week and she's nerdy, and since Chip is too, obviously they'd be a good match because boy character and girl character have to be together. Lisa pipes up at the back of class saying how the movie is pushing the narrative that Doc Duvalier was a good man, when in fact he actually took over the town and was a horrible person. But I'm pretty sure back then women didn't have rights and people still shit in the ground and wiped with dirt and grass. So I think it was a vastly different landscape from today. The boys are walking their bikes home and still discussing whether Chip asking out Lisa is a good thing. And I don't know if they're home, but they're just putting their bikes and bags there and not really stopping. Surely they go inside before Dave takes his phone and asks out Lisa. Oh yeah, Dave took Chip's phone to text Lisa.
Never forgive you for this.
Bro, you didn't even try to get it back. There wasn't even an attempt there. Lisa says yes and immediately doxes herself. And literally 10 seconds after saying he'll never forgive him, Chip daps him up and knocks the phone into the street. Chip says he's fine with it because he's going to homecoming with Lisa, and Dave says he should text her again. Chip disagrees, and this leads to both of them diving headfirst into the middle of the street. And conveniently right as they do this, a portal opens up and they Smosh movie right into the Old West. This is the second video in a row where I've made a reference to the Smosh movie. They say Lil Nas X and Billy Ray Cyrus galloping towards them and run for cover. They're bush camping this shit like Fortnite. This shit looked like Paradise Palms. Some inbred moron and Geordie from Young Sheldon come across the phone because Chip and Dave forgot it on the ground. These guys' names are Cody and Mitch. We'll learn more about them soon, but not before Chip and Dave approach them to get the phone back, which Mitch is now using as a belt buckle. So they chat a little as Dave goes to grab it, and we hear this amazingly 80-yard line.
Looks like this idiot is really falling for my new belt buckle.
Still not as amazing as Madam Web. Chip finally comes to the conclusion that yada yada nerd sheet yada yada accidentally made a time machine.
You got 9th place for inventing a time machine? I'd love to see what got first.
See, this is why we stan Dave. He's out here asking the real questions.
This is serious, Dave. If I'm correct, it means we're lost. Lost in the mid to late 1800s.
After the commercial break, the boys are looking for water, and Dave licks up a cactus because he watched that one episode of Avatar. A cowgirl named Texas Jane and a cowboy named
Jimmy the Kid.
I told you not to call me that. My name's James.
What's the cultural significance of the name Jimmy the Kid? Because it seems to have an important title. Or maybe it's just the kid. There's a figure named Billy the Kid, and also a Stan series called Billy the Kid. Chip's actor, Caleb Thomas, has a video on his YouTube channel called Billy the Kid, which is apparently a clip from a series called Fuzz and Malloy where he's playing a character called Billy the Kid. And there's a Fall Guy skin, and I don't know if it's Jimmy or Billy the Fall Kid or something like that. If anyone into Western stuff could let me know if this actually means anything or if it's just something weird I picked up on, please let me know down below because I'm actually so lost. The duo agreed to take the boys into town without questioning their fits. This is not some cowboy drip, alright? Anyway, we see the two get into town and I don't see James or Texas anywhere. Did they just give them directions into town? Did they give them this donkey to ride on for free and just trust them with it? They just fucking left? Everyone's staring at them, obviously, so they park their donkey. And Dave asks what they should do first, with his first suggestions being drinking alcohol and riding horses. This man is an absolute legend. That's exactly what I'd do. Chip says that time isn't moving outward from the point that they're at, but time is actually moving with them. So if they stay there a day, they'll come back a day later.
A year for a year, understand?
So you're saying we can miss homecoming?
I fucking love this guy. Dave has his priorities straight. They lay out the basic time travel rules. No interacting with anyone unless absolutely avoidable, and don't ever reveal information about yourself or the future. So Dave immediately walks up to this store and rizzes up this probably 100-something-year-old lady. Chip cockblocks him, but it's actually being a bro, because as they walk away, we can actually hear the two ladies dissing Dave's drip. Thank you, Chip. It was a hard decision, but it had to be done. As they go into the store, Chip is approached by a woman by the name of Luna Running Water. Running Water? Then you better go catch it. Fuck! And besides the fact that Luna has an absolute wide-on for Chip, and also looks exactly like Lisa, her great-great-granddaughter, it's almost like they're played by the same actress. That's fucking crazy. She also recognizes that he's from out of town and assumes that he's there for the rodeo they're having. Chip makes up a fake name by looking at stuff in the store, and he introduces himself as Buffalo Jack Coffee. As he goes to pay, he says,
You don't have an ATM around here, do you?
the first ATM was made on the 27th of June, 1967. And I also want to add, since it gave me a chuckle, that one of the auto searches is who discovered the ATM in which year. Like it was a natural resource that was on Earth for years and someone just discovered. Also, Chip, you broke the rule about not telling anyone. Naughty, 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 naughty boy. Chip's in luck because he may not have any money to pay, but with the power of female horniness, tap water says it's on the house and a welcome gift to town. But while warm running water is packing Chip's stuff, Dave calls him back into the clothing section and he just runs back. And I'm just gonna play this for you. Did they pay for that? It isn't explained, and she looks back to where they were. They don't have supplies, and they had to walk back past this front counter because there's no door in that room to get out. And don't even get me started on that Doug Dimmadome ass hat. Chip and... I legitimately accidentally wrote Chip and Dale in the script, so I'm just gonna go with it. Chip and Dale just so happen to be walking into a saloon from the Lonely Island's old saloon. As the two phone thieves walk out, we realize they walked out without paying and they think that they can just do this because they're the mayor's sons. And as they walk away, Dave one-pumps Inbred Boy to the head with a ball. Also, look at this shit. He let that happen. There wasn't a single thought going through this motherfucker's head as he barrels for this tub of water. The boys approach Chip and Dave and tell them that
We don't want no trouble with our gang. I hate to be the grammar police here, but when you say you don't want no trouble, what you're actually saying is you do in fact want trouble, and a gang is technically 4 more people.
I'm rooting for the villains. This kid needs to be put in his place. The boy's dad comes out and we find out that not only is he the mayor, he's also the man from the documentary they watched in class, Doc Duvalier. And Chip says if he's like his sons, then Lisa's theory from class might not be just a theory, a politics theory. Back in Doc's office, he's yelling at his boys, telling them not to draw attention to themselves, and reveals his plan. See, there's a deal that has something to do with the railroad, and he needs to buy one more piece of land, and that piece of land belongs to Chief Running Water. He says he plans to get gold to buy this land from the rodeo happening over the weekend. He's the mayor. You think he'd have this sort of money already. There's a knock at the door and it ends up being Chip and Dave, who've hatched a sinister plan to apologize to Duvaliers, give them a handshake, go on for a hug, and we learn that Dave went to the Uncharted school of stealing things because we get a crotch shot of the phone and one quick motion it's gone. You know, if I was hugging one of my boys, I wouldn't just not notice that they don't have 2 arms around me. I think I'd definitely notice if one of them was on my fucking dick. After this, the stepbro duo walk into the saloon and proclaim,
The heroes have arrived!
you may expect this to be a cringe scene, like he says this and nobody says anything, but no, the two are actually titled heroes by the townspeople for one of them throwing a ball at someone's head. They finally eat and Pipewater joins them as Dave eats a cake like a dog, then leaves to go talk to a girl he sees. She beats this true Brexit geezer in an arm wrestle, and we see it's actually Texas Jane who's pissed at him.
We've met, and it was far from a pleasure.
Shit, maybe they didn't get the donkey for free. Maybe they stole that. Also, where is the donkey? Was there a deleted scene or something? It's like her whole fucking character changed between these 2 times we've seen her. She went from being amused by the two and happy to give them help when getting into town to saying that meeting them was shit. Meanwhile, Chip is fumbling so hard that he starts leaking. Wait, no, that's his phone. Oh shit. Chip pulls Dave outside.
Dude, I was about to get her number.
No, you weren't. She's not gonna have phone for at least another decade.
Chip says if the phone runs out of juice, they'll be stuck there forever. But he also needs something to get it started, I guess. So they come to the conclusion that they need gold. Meanwhile, Chip crotch dials his voice recorder app that one of the Duvaliers conveniently accidentally turned on before. Lil bro, does your phone not have a fucking password? They also hear he's gonna take over Runaway by Kanye's ranch. Luna Eclipse Tapwater overhears this and she agrees to train them to win the rodeo. The 2 boys are taken to the ranch, which we finally learn is called...
Who farted? Wasn't me, Chip.
Nope. I claim mine.
While they're introducing themselves, James and Jane come in because of plot convenience sake they live here too. Dave continues to fumble the bag throughout this episode, like in the next scene where he sits next to Jane and spills a drink. She leaves, and in response to Dave saying that he gets nervous and fidgety around her, Chip says that he has a crush. Nobody gives a shit about that. Not even me. I actually can't even be able to talk about it that much. The brothers discuss what they're going to do to win the rodeo, and Dave recommends that Chip make some inventors like this is fucking Jimmy Neutron foul ball. Dave says that all Chip's done since they got there has been negative, and we have a 3rd act breakup of sorts which lasts a total of 1.5 minutes of total runtime. It's fucking pointless. After Dave teaches cowboys to twerk, we get a training montage, as well as a snippet of the party from last night and Dave breaking rule 1 of not revealing any info about the future by making corn dogs. And we're also shown Cletus 1 and Cletus 2 spying on them. We get a scene that shows how the phone's doing. Chip says it's on 37%, which is slow, but should be fine as long as they win the rodeo. Now, what's interesting about this whole thing is that after they leave to go have breakfast, we see the Duvaliers come into the shed and presumably ransack it, which is confirmed when we cut to the gang coming back. The phone is now on 7%, and Chip predicts that the phone will be dead at 7 p.m. the following afternoon. The rodeo, which is also tomorrow, ends at 6:30. So if we're to assume that every percentage on a phone is equal. Now, before they left the shed, Dave said something along the lines of, "Let's go have breakfast." This is the Old West. They probably ate at a respectable time. Let's assume they left here at 9:30. We'll use 9 to make it easier to calculate and then add that half an hour back on later. Now, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. is 10 hours, which means that the next day it'll be 34 and a half hours. 34.5 divided by 7 is 4.92857142857. Hours per percentage, but we'll say 5 just to be nice. Now 5 times 37 is 185 hours, or just a little over a week. What I'm saying here is I have way too much free time. The very next day is the big rodeo, and we see the gang approach the Duvaliers, and you may be wondering what's happening in the footage you're seeing right now. Chip said he'll never be able to make everything he did in time again, which makes no sense because the timeline would suggest you made these devices overnight. So really, Chip, you're just fucking lazy. Anyway, Luna said she had an idea, so she disguised herself as a man to get into the competition. When Lost in the West first aired, it got roughly 1 million viewers. Now, I'm far too lazy to run the numbers, but the chances are, for at least one man out there, this was his trans awakening, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry that your trans awakening was Nickelodeon's Lost in the West, not some cool shit like Mulan. The rodeo starts off with knife throwing, where Dopey Duvalier throws a perfect 3 in the circle. They fuck up Dave's knife throwing after the second one hits directly on the first. But Dave then fucks them up in pie eating. Doc yells at his boys that if they want something done right, then he'd have to do it himself. So he buys a can of chili and feeds it to Bucky to make him shit himself. So when the gang gets to the pen and realize what's happened, they have to use the donkey instead. That's finally shown back up. It's alive, guys. Tap water. Wait, she's disguised as a boy. Should I call him something different? Sparkling Water gets to the starting line ready to race. The race starts and Mitch gets to the finish line almost immediately while the donkey hasn't moved at all. And to make fun of them, Mitch hops off and starts making a mockery. While he's doing this, Chip yells from the sideline,
Say please!
This donkey proceeds to go Super Saiyan from hearing the word please. They win the race and rodeo and get the gold, but could you imagine what happened if they said pretty please with cherries on top? They get sent to the moon. While celebrating the win, Sparkling's mustache falls off. The crowd goes silent, and the transphobic Dr. Duvalier says that the rules state only cowboys can race. And the crowd throws a hissy fit because they're based, demanding that the Hoof-Hearted should get the gold since they won fair and square. But since there's no clear winner, the coach says that there's a way to decide things with a vote. It's a cheering competition. The big conflict is resolved with a cheering competition. So who do you think wins the gold? And keep in mind that there's 3 parts to this special, so anything can happen. I'm serious. There'll be a voting box on the video. Go vote. Subscribe too while you're at it. So who wins? Drum roll. It's Hoof-Hearted. Hoof-Hearted wins. They win the gold. Chip and Luna have a bittersweet conversation while Dave has a fucked conversation. Chip cuts in right before they kiss and drags him away. As Dave says,
Conversations to be continued.
this is so fucked. Dave knows the two have no intention of coming back. And what's even more messed up is they take a horse back to the spot they arrived in. They're not just gonna take this horse to the future, and from what I see, nobody's there to take it back. The boys charge up the phone, but just as they're about to leave, they get cornered? No, they kind of just sit there when the portal opens and their dick's in their hand. As the Duvaliers close in on them, the twins are jumped by Luna.
Didn't want you boys having all the fun. Good luck with that new girlfriend.
Funny story. She's kind of your great-great-granddaughter.
You were so close to leaving without breaking any of the rules. Also, Chip, from her point of view, you now look like an extreme Good job. Doc takes the phone as Chip goes through the wormhole. Now, as they get home and Dave notices the time machine phone is gone, I thought exactly what Chip says.
He's got to use the cell phone without battery fluid.
But as the boys get to school for the dance, well, still in their cowboy uniforms, we get a shot of the school sign that now says Duvalier High. So for the next however long this ad break is, that was part 1 of Lost in the West.
Chip and Dave just went back in time. They thought they saved the day.
I'm so glad we're home, man.
But what they left behind will change history.
Do you know who you're messing with, bro? That's Reggie Duvalier, fool. Everything's owned by the Duvaliers? How could us saving the day back in the day lead to all of this? What have we done? We'll figure it out.
Lost in the West, the 3-part movie event continues tomorrow at 8, only on Nick.
I want to make this really quick because I'm already fucking tired. While researching this video, I found out that Chip's actor was in a Nickelodeon show called Chase Champions. And from what I find, it kind of looks like lost media. There's some torrents online, but I don't think there's nearly enough seeders for this to actually be able to download in any capacity at any speed. So if you or anyone you know has any episodes or any information about this, please let me know. Also, I found out there was a Nicktoons bumper, so apparently it must have aired in commercial breaks on Nicktoons. So yes, thank you for any information you may give. Part 2 opens up with a previously on segment, followed up by the beautiful intro again. The boys enter the school where they're playing some Old West bops.
Wow, this DJ's really blowing it.
Oh, so you're telling me that this isn't an Old West themed party? Then why the fuck didn't you change? Were you really that desperate to get to your school homecoming this early? We see Mitch and Cody Duvalier. Now your first thought must be, oh, they've used the time machine to go forward in time and torment the two in present day. But then you realize that this isn't actually Mitch and Cody. Cody is now unnamed while Mitch is now a kid called Reggie Duvalier. So you're telling me that not only do these kids have the exact same haircut and clothes as their great-great-grandparents, they have the exact same faces and voices. They're basically clones. And what changed here that caused them to be so deeply connected to their Old West roots? And having the school homecoming being Old West themed, Dave approaches the Duvaliers, steals the crown, and gets escorted out. Meanwhile, Chip bumps into Lisa, who says,
Do you sit behind me in history class?
"That's right. Chip going back in time somehow cock-blocked him in the future." Chip also gets escorted out by security, which makes absolutely no sense. You're probably thinking, oh, that's because they're stepbrothers. But first of all, these two aren't Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly. And also, in the next scene we see, they're not stepbrothers. Also, Chip is homeless now.
We going on a trip?
Only trip we're taking is to the poorhouse.
I can't exactly put my finger on why I feel this way, but this feels like I'm watching a Darman video right now. Boys mess with the past, instantly regret it. We find out down in the basement that Duvalier Tech bought out the company their parents worked and met at, presumably preventing them from meeting.
Everything's owned by the Duvaliers? I'm not homecoming king. We're not stepbros, and we're about to be homeless?
Few things here. First of all, I find it hysterical that Dave puts being homecoming king before being homeless. Second, there's no we're gonna be homeless. Chip's gonna be homeless. They find out that by swiping Chip's phone, Doc was credited for creating the first phone ever. And what I'm more interested in than this story is how advanced are phones now? Because that's a modern day smartphone, and you're giving it to people centuries early. Can you imagine how many cameras the phones all have now? Chip decides they have to go back and get the phone before they ever lose it in the first place. But even if they do decide to go with that plan, it's not gonna work because it's already going against your pre-established time travel rules you already explained. It's a year from a year, day from a day, a week for a week, month for a month, band for band. Dave has a conundrum that's already stupid for the reason I explained and says that they can't do that. Not because of the pre-established rules, but he won't get to be with his Wild West Pookie Bear anymore. You can't keep up a relationship with this woman interdimensionally. Over time, that's not gonna work. You're gonna have kids and then accidentally create the grandfather paradox. Dave wants to tear apart the fabric of space-time just so he can fuck. They find out that they need to talk to an Old West expert, so they talk to Lisa, who we find out is conveniently living next door. They ask to hear everything she knows about the town in the spring of 1885. She says there was a gang called the Purple Hatters that were lawless and ran her family off their ranch. But now instead of hating Duvalier, she says he was a hero that defended them. Place your bets now. My guess is that Duvalier hired them to run them off, and then he can come in and scare off the Purple Hatters and look like a hero. Dave accidentally reveals the two are time travelers, and Lisa says,
I'd believe Santa Claus, the Tooth Fairy, and the Easter Bunny were all in a death metal band, or I'd believe you two were time travelers.
me too. That would be fucking awesome. Chip says it's for the best that she doesn't believe them.
The Old West is no place for a clumsy girl who trips while standing still.
Funny joke in concept, but it makes absolutely no sense here. There's literally an audible banging sound of whatever mystical off-screen object she trips on. Chip says he needs to pull an all-nighter to get a new phone running, so we get a montage of him working and robbing his mother's car battery while Dave shoves his face full of modern food. The next morning, they're talking about the phone Chip used. This time it was an older flip phone. He said he coupled it with a car battery and it works like a hotspot. So if they're not back by the time their house is torn down, they'll be lost in the West. Part 2.
So if we're not back by the time they tear down our house?
We can kiss 2016 goodbye.
This is dumb for multiple reasons. When you're not near a power line, then your hotspot doesn't work. And they're going back to a time where their power tower hasn't even been invented yet. Chip opens up his calendar app and selects the 25th of May, 1885. Alright, so you can choose it. If so, why in the flying, time-traveling fuck do you have a time limit of 2 days when you could just choose to come back before your house gets torn down? What the fuck is happening right now? Lisa approaches them to question them when they start opening the wormhole. I guess Chip made a software update because the portal sweeps the three into it without the two even noticing they've been transitioned to the west. While two cowboys are galloping on horses towards them, Dave tackles the two out of the way and pegs one of them off their horse. We find out that this is Texas Jane, who reveals she was trying to take the horse back from the Purple Hatter who stole it from them. Lisa realizes they're inside of her special interest, the Old West, and agrees to help the boys with their mission. Meanwhile, the Purple Hatter who stole the horse reports back to his boss, who's mysteriously off screen. This boss tells them to set Texas Jane straight. Wow, first the villains are misogynistic, now they believe in gay conversion therapy, what the f***'s next? The gang gets into the saloon where Dave tries to make up with Jane. He reveals that he's from the future, to which Jane reacts by laughing in his face, as she should. Meanwhile, Lisa and Chip are looking at the frame photos on the wall, and Lisa points out Chief Warm Running Water.
He's a super cool guy.
You know him?
We're tight.
No, you're not. You met him once for a couple of days. On the other side of the saloon, a Purple Hatter walks in. Dave goes up to the Purple Hatter Buck and starts trolling him. Buck kicks Dave down and then is defeated after one jab and an atomic wedgie. This guy is a literal video game goon. The gang travel back to Hoof-Hearted Ranch and the chief remembers them and daps them up. The Purple Hatter reports back to camp and their leader is revealed as Mr. Duvalier. What a shock. He orders his sons to go into town.
Bitch, Cody!
What? There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that he just said bitch there, and it got past everyone. Chip says hi to Luna and introduces her to Lisa. As her great-granddaughter, it took you 2 more scenes to fuck up rule 1. They do the bit where 2 similar characters say the same thing, and we get another campfire party with the characters doing literal NPC animations. Lisa notices that the dirt on Dave's pants isn't dirt, but it's actually red clay. Let's hope this clay doesn't start making Minecraft videos and touching kids. Lisa says it probably came from Red Town, not to be confused with Doja Cat's Paint the Town Red. And Dave says, yappa yappa, that's boring, let's dance, and they start bopping out to the same fucking song we've been listening to. Seriously, that shit is ingrained into my head. I feel like a sleeper agent whenever I hear it. The next morning, Lisa wakes up the boys and says she's been doing everything she's wanted to because...
How often does a girl get to travel back to the Wild West? Most of my vacations are spent at math camp.
Ew!
It was so genuine. Bro has beef with math. Later that day, the boys are in town being spied on by Bitch and Cody. They're talking to the saloon owner, who I'm fully convinced is the only person employed there besides whoever's performing. She says that the Purple Hatters came into town as soon as the Duvaliers left. Dave says something's not right about the timeline.
What makes you say that?
I don't know, but I'm very intuitive. Howdy, miss.
I'm a man.
Insert libs of TikTok user handle and caption saying POV, dating in 2024. Jane and Lisa come into town, because they could only afford to show one scene where Luna and Lisa are on screen at the same time. The Purple Hatters come into town and start swearing again.
They sure as shooting will take orders from my boss.
2 of the Purple Hatters try starting to clear everyone out of their houses while Dave fights the rest. Even though Chip said he would always back up his bro, he just kind of stands there and watches. Dave steals the phone off Doc. Chip smashes it, aka slams it onto the ground. But they have a plan B. Kidnapping. They take Lisa because they mistake her for Luna, and while they're locking her up, Doc discusses his plan C. He found the treaty for Running Water's ranch, so if it isn't signed by a certain time, the ranch belongs to him. Chip and Dave rally the ranch to go save Lisa, and they map out what they're going to do, and we get this goofier animation with the Roblox spring noise. Dave and Luna have to distract the guards while Chip opens the cell. Meanwhile, Jane...
I'll make the sound of a roadrunner.
Beep beep.
Release Coyote versus Acme. Luna distracts two of the guards and Dave stays back because I guess he wasn't listening to the plan. And as Chip tries breaking Lisa out, she says that it's not going to work because the lock uses a B1R keyway. So it has to have two keys simultaneously working to open it. So if you're a locksmith or just know anything about locks in general, please comment. Lisa starts picking the lock from the other side, but as they try to escape, the purple hatters surround them. So how do our heroes escape? Chip opens another fucking wormhole, so they go back in time 3 days. He says his plan is to go forward 3 days, and that's fucking dumb because Chip already stated it only had 3 jumps. So they used a jump to get back here, and now they're going back in time again, so if they go forward again, that's 3 jumps. They meet up with Dave and Jane, and instead of running away, they decide, hey, why don't we just sit here and look at them until they see us? Doc yells at his boys, which scares the horses away, so they start chasing them on foot.
They've seen us.
No shit. Why are you still standing there? They go into the Purple Hatter's ranch thinking there's no way they'll look there. As the timer ticks down with only 3 minutes to get back, Dave finally shares a kiss with Jane. Just as Lisa and Jane say their final goodbyes, the group gets jumped by the Duvaliers, leading to a fight over the phone, which causes Dave, Lisa, and Cody to get sent to the future. You know what's really fucked up about this? Chip and Dave have been displaced from timeline number 1. Now they've taken Lisa from timeline number 2, where they're trying to get the timeline back to timeline 1. Also, now we're in timeline 3, which is a Mad Max-style dystopian wasteland.
Chip, he's lost in the West.
Part 2. There's a quick post-credit scene, or technically not post-credit scene because the credits are on the screen while this is happening. I love that he says that to a tree and not like anything else.
What's going on? You're in the year 2016. Welcome to the future, buddy.
What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do?
Monday nights, an eerie darkness will cover the moon, and the power of the eclipse will transform Show Me the Monday into Show Me the Monday! Many believe eclipses have bizarre effects on people. We may never know for sure, but the freakish effects it will have on brand new episodes of Kickin' It, Mighty Med, and Lab Raps will be hard to ignore. Discover Invasion of the Ghost Pirates. Awaken to Night of the Living Nightmare. Prepare for The Principal from Another Planet. Show Me the Monday! Brand new Monday night at 8/7 Central, only on Disney XD.
Part 3 starts with another recap segment and intro, followed by the exact same scene from the very end of the last episode. Lisa votes for the gang to go to school because its library is the only place with history books that can tell them about the new timeline. Also, something about this timeline makes it unrealistic that there'll be any history books anywhere that can tell them about what happened. Oh, god fucking damn it. We find out that in this timeline, Doc was thrown in jail and Mitch took over buying the land instead.
I can't believe they renamed this place Mitch Duvalier Academy for Book Learning.
We also find out that Chip became a real-life cowboy, and a few battles after they left, Chip was thrown into a canyon and fell to his death. Oh, you think I'm joking about this one like I was with Jimmy Neutron?
On July 15th, 1885, during a skirmish with Mitch, Buffalo Jack is knocked into the Pequanito Canyon and falls to his death.
He dies! Everything runs off coal on this timeline, and not the MIDI kind, so there's nothing to charge the phone with. Until Dave says something that makes Lisa think up an idea for a potato battery. There's no way in hell this works. Are you fucking kidding me? Cody joins the two and hugs it out with Dave.
Oh, you smell good. Is that soap?
So you're telling me this kid doesn't know what a tree is, but knows about soap? They can't go back to where the Purple Hatters are waiting for them. So the only other date they know where Chip will be is the day he dies, July 15th, 1885. I wonder what they'll do in the meanwhile while they're waiting for the phone to charge. There's no way it finished charging already. Also, their mum's house has already been fucking leveled. Where are they getting this power from? They travel conveniently to right when the fight is taking place. Mitch stole money from the First National Bank, which is funny because Chip's dressed like he's the one who robbed it. Mitch throws the money at Chip, which knocks him into the canyon. Luckily, he didn't stay to finish the job, giving Dave a chance to save him. Back at camp, Jane and Jimothy see a shooting star.
Look, a
fallen star.
Holy shit, Terraria reference! The next day, the boys travel to see Doc in prison, as he's the only person who knows where his fortune is. He agrees to help them if they break him out of prison. As they leave, the sheriff said he's being transported to the county prison next day. So the brothers try and figure out how they're going to break out Doc. But while they're discussing these plans, a purple hatter that's been spying on them reports back to Mitch and tells him that they're working with Cody. Meanwhile, the men from the county prison come to take Doc a day early. So what do our heroes do? Well, they go with Dave's Bugs Bunny-ass plan to break Doc out of jail by dressing up as women. Dave goes to distract the driver and gets turned down, but then Chip is approached because it turns out this guy is into femboy twinks. Dave cuffs the guard and also breaks Doc out, dressed like a lady too. 12 shots. Back at camp, Doc seems like he actually truly cares with the way he's talking to Cody. But also, this is a Nick movie, which means he's probably going to betray them. Chief Running Water greets Doc like the alpha male he is.
If I were a lesser man, I'd spit on your boots. Now what the heck?
He says he hid the 4 keys they need to get the loot in the saloon bathroom. All of them. In one place. Right before they get the keys though, Dave once again fucks his relationship with Jane by saying that she can't come. I don't know why he's trying to deny her of going on the adventure with them. He knows she's more than capable enough. Has he seen all the shit she's done? The boys retrieve the keys and everyone except Jane and Chief Running Water get to the stash and Doc opens it with a secret door. I guess he had some redstone and a Minecraft tutorial on hand. Cody and Luna stand as a lookout because they can't hire editors to have Luna and Lisa on screen more than once. When they get inside, Dave sets off a trap and we get the only other part of this show I remember where there's a bit of them going on about how 3 on 3, 1, 2, 3, let's count down. Did you mean before 3? I don't know why this stuck with me. Everyone starts moving all the loot up, but Doc keeps a photo frame of him and his family that he was promised. Oh yeah, I didn't mention. He said, "You's gonna have all the treasure, but I just want to keep this photo of me and my kids." Which is a pretty sweet gesture until Mitch and the Hatters surround him, joined by Cody, and Doc snaps the image, revealing that the Treaty of Texoma was into it. How the fuck did he get that into the stash? There's no timeline where he could have gotten all 4 of those keys, turned all of them himself, and hid the treaty before his ass got hauled off to prison. Chip and friends decide to sacrifice their life in the future by sending the Duvaliers so far forward in time that they're not a problem. But they figure out their plan and throw out the phone until Texas Jane Deus Ex Machina everyone by lassoing the treaty and sending the phone right under the Duvalier's feet. Instead of running away, they just scream and shake like idiots and accept their fate. Later that afternoon, Chief Running Water does the only useful thing that he's done in this 130-minute runtime, by signing the treaty and saving the ranch from being bought out. But I guess we'll never know if the timeline gets back to normal, since these characters sacrifice their future to save the present. Are you fucking kidding me? Turns out, Chip's phone had a little more juice in it, even though it was supposed to run out like 4 months ago by this point. Also, apparently Chip sent the Duvaliers to 2030, so I'm expecting a sequel to release on that date, Nickelodeon. Get on it, chop chop, Lost in the West Part 4. Jane comes around the corner as they're charging up the phone.
I promised I would stay with you.
You don't have to. I'm going with you.
No, you're not. No, you're not. Are you fucking kidding me? So the gang once again fucks up the past and leaves Luna there, which is messed up. It's just her and Running Water now. And they get home where Chip's mum somehow isn't freaking out and nobody questioned them spawning in the middle of the street. Alright, I guess. We cut forward in time to when everyone's at school and the teacher says it's a movie day and it's a documentary about Chip and Dave.
About the legendary Old West heroes, Buffalo Jack Coffee and his sidekick Dave with a Y.
Sidekick?
I can't even be asked anymore. I actually can't even be asked anymore. Well, at least the show is finally over.
Lisa, Jane, Dave, Chip, you have to come with us at once.
Doc and his boys have managed to cause havoc in the future. And we need your help to stop them.
I'm you from the year 2030. And this is Jane.
Howdy.
Where's future Chip?
Right here, buddy.
What the fuck? What the fucking fuck? I was joking. That's how the show ends. It's over there. So, that was Lost in the West. What, do you expect me to have a conclusion? There's a question mark when it says the end. There's obviously more coming soon. You know, I didn't like this as much as I thought it would. In fact, I don't even know if I liked it as a kid. Also, I think Nickelodeon is trying to execute me for saying that, because as I typed that down in the Google Doc, the sharpest pain went down the side of my body in my life. I felt like an old man. So, Yeah, Nick, look me in the eyes. Look me in the eyes. 1 out of 10 show you. Come at me, bitch. Do your worst. Do your worst. Do your worst. Do your worst right now. What the Sigma? I don't know what that was. It just kind of came out. Came out the closet. I'm trying to nut in a guy and make a cum deposit. Nah.